Hello, welcome, and if you've been here before, welcome back. So, yeah, if you're wondering where I am, the video recording was being particularly troublesome this time around, so I'm doing this instead. And by this, I mean whatever future me has decided to do with this audio. Though I suppose it's fitting, because the cards that we're talking about today are also having issues with having a clear image. Seriously, you can barely read these. But we'll be going over them anyway, so let's get to it. We'll continue where we left off, reading the purple cards. Starting with Dark King Snake Pentacles. It costs 7 with 3 reduction symbols. At level 1, it's at 4,000, level 2, 6,000, and level 3, 7,000. While this spirit attacks, select one of your opponent's spirits and remove all but one core from it and place them in their reserve. And at level 2 and 3, while this spirit attacks, select one of your opponent's spirits, remove a core from it, and place it in their trash. In other words, if you get this to at least level 2, if this attacks, it will get rid of any spirit you want. So obviously, this is a really powerful effect. The question is it worth it? In my opinion, yes. Yes, it is worth it. This is just a big dude that, on attack, will get rid of the biggest threat on your opponent's board for free. And if this survives, it will gain value turn after turn, getting rid of your opponent's spirits. Also, imagine having more than one of these on your field. This just seems backbreaking to me. To go along with our King Snake, we have our Nexus Dark Grail. It costs 3, it has 1 reduction symbol. As a reminder, with all of the Nexus that we'll be talking about, they do not need core to be put out at level 1. So, with Dark Grail, when it is placed, select one of your opponent's spirits with 2 or more cores on it. Remove 1 core from it and place it onto their reserve. And at level 2, during your attack step, draw a card when one of your purple spirits is destroyed. The immediate thought that comes to my mind is comboing this with the Bython, because with Bython, when that attacks, you draw a card. And since Bython is weak, chances are your opponent is going to have a blocker for it to kill it. If you have the Dark Grail at level 2, you'll at least draw a card as compensation when it gets destroyed. That being said, I don't know if its level 2 effect is worth it. It would be one thing if it gave you cards on your opponent's attack step, but this is only during your attack step. And typically when you're attacking, you're doing it in such a way that you're not sending your spirits to their doom. But then again, maybe we'll see spirits in the future that you will want to send your spirits to your doom. I don't know. It's kind of hard to judge at this point. Oh, also, its first effect is fine, I guess. I don't know, this seems like one of the weaker Nexus, in my opinion. And rounding out the purple cards, we have the magic card, Poison Shot. It costs 5 and has 3 reduction symbols. It has the burst effect. When the opponent destroys your spirit, draw a card. Then you may pay this card's cost to activate its flash effect. So its main effect, which can also be activated on flash step, select a spirit, remove a core from it, and place it into the owner's reserve. Now first, that burst effect, it's fine, but it's not like landmine. So I don't think you'll want to just place this in any non-purple deck. Now as for Poison Shot's main effect, it's good. Oftentimes there's going to be at least one spirit on your opponent's field that only has 1 core, and this can act as decent removal for that. So yeah, I think this card is good. I don't think it'll see play outside of purple decks, just because I don't think non-purple decks will want to pay 5 for this. But at a cost of 2, I think it's decently costed for its effect. And now for the cards that I'm most excited about, the white cards. First, let's talk about Divine Moonsky Beast Fanatec Elk. By the way, I love how the names are all either like Python or just this gigantically long name. There is no in between, and I love it. Anyway, this elk costs 7 with 3 reduction symbols. While this spirit attacks, during this turn, this spirit cannot be destroyed by your opponent's destruction effects or be destroyed in battle, and it cannot have its cores removed by your opponent's effects. And at level 2 and 3, at the end of the opponent's turn, if you did not lose life this turn, place 1 core from your opponent's life into their trash. So to give you an idea of what White's game plan is like, they are the defensive color. They like to have spirits out that have effects during the opponent's turn, usually upping their battle power. They also have the best defensive magic cards. The Elk's second effect is probably what's going to be White's game plan for the first set. Just a slow control game plan where White is trying to stop the opponent from getting to their life while at the same time burning them with this effect. Also, this has the same stats as the big red spirit that we talked about in the last video. White's Nexus is Heaven Piercing Castle. It costs 4 with 2 reduction symbols. Again, it doesn't need any core on it to be at level 1. It needs 2 core for its level 2. During your opponent's turn, when your opponent draws outside of their draw step, you may pay your soul core to draw a card. And then at level 2, during your attack step, when a spirit with a When This Spirit Blocks effect attacks, you may place up to 2 cores from your void onto it. I love this Nexus. Its level 2 is so good. The only question is, can you get this castle up at level 2 in White fast enough so that you can ramp a bunch of cores? And also, are there going to be enough spirits with the When the Spirit Blocks effect so that you can have a game plan revolving around this castle? And I really hope so, because I love the idea of ramping cores so that we can get to our big elk faster. Its first effect is not that exciting. I have a feeling there's going to be better things that we can do with our soul core than this effect, but it's nice that it's there. Its second effect is where it's really at, though. So yeah, I love this card. I think it's great. And for our last white card, we have the magic card Dream Bomb. It costs 5 with 2 reduction symbols. Like all of the magic cards that we've gone over thus far, it has a burst effect. When you lose life, select one of your opponent's nexuses and return it to their hand. Then you may pay this card's cost to activate its flash effect. So on the main step or flash step, select one of your opponent's spirits and return it to their hand. I'm sorry, this card is lame. This just makes me think of Dream Ribbon, and that with its reduction symbols only costs 1. This costs 3 at minimum. I don't really think paying 3 is worth it. As for its burst effect, it kind of depends on if there's going to be game-breaking Nexus out there that is going to require having this to get rid of it on the opponent's turn. We'll have to wait and see, but again, I'm not that impressed. And now let's talk about the yellow cards. Calamity Beast Chaos Pegasaurus. It costs 6 with 3 reduction symbols. At level 2 and 3, during your attack step, all of your spirits that cost 2 gain 2,000 BP. And then at level 3, when this spirit attacks, select 2 of your spirits that cost 2 and refresh them. So from this, Yellow's game plan is pretty straightforward. Play a bunch of 2-cost spirits and reap the benefits from the Pegasus. Is this card good? I don't know. We'll have to see all of the 2-cost spirits, yellow and non-yellow, to see if we can make this card worth it. Assuming that there are good 2-cost spirits, it's not bad. Obviously, that second effect is the reason to play this kind of 2-cost deck. The game plan is to go wide, have a Pegasus or 2 or more, and just attack non-stop against your opponent. And let me tell you, if there are enough 2-cost spirits, yeah, I could see this being extremely powerful. Soap Bubble Lakeside is the yellow Nexus. It costs 4 with 2 reduction symbols. Like the other Nexus, it doesn't need any core for level 1. It needs 2 core for level 2. During your attack step, reveal the top card of your deck when one of your spirits that costs 3 or lower is destroyed. If it costs the same as the destroyed spirit, add it to your hand. If it doesn't, discard it. And then at level 2, during your attack step, your yellow spirits cannot be blocked by your opponent's spirits with when this spirit blocks effects. I'm not entirely sure why the first effect procs on cost 3 spirits as well being destroyed, but I'm not complaining. So with that first effect, if we just play a bunch of 2-cost spirits and maybe possibly magic cards as well, then this will basically make all of our cost 2 spirits into cantrips when they're destroyed. Now with its second effect, it's kind of hard to know if this will be relevant. White seems to imply that it will have spirits with that when the spirit blocks effects. We'll have to wait and see how many spirits have that kind of effect to see if that level 2 will be any good or not. But even if that second effect isn't all that applicable in most games, I think the first effect is still good enough that you would consider this in a cost 2 deck. And for our last card, we have Imaginary Gate. It's a yellow magic that costs 4 with 2 reduction symbols. It has a burst effect. When your opponent activates a spirit's when summoned effect, discard the top 2 cards of your deck. Then, return up to 2 spirit cards that cost 3 or less from your trash to your hand. You may then pay this card's cost to activate its flash effect, which says, select 1 spirit, it gains 3000 BP during this turn. Again, this goes with the whole cost 2 deck idea. Now the question with this particular burst effect is, how many spirits are there going to be with when summoned effects, and are any of those going to be good for this to see play and get its burst effect? I don't know. And frankly, I kind of don't care because, again, I think Landmine is just so good that every deck is just going to use that. That being said, I think you still play Imaginary Gate alongside Landmine in your cost 2 deck. Because, surprisingly, I think the boost effect is actually relevant. And if you don't have Landmine, you can just place this instead. So, I think it's a decent card. Now again, whether or not we'll get the burst effect off remains to be seen, but I think it'll be good enough. And with that, we have talked about all of the cards that have been revealed thus far. If you enjoyed this video and you want to keep seeing Battle Spirit Saga content on this channel, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. And until next time, laters!